with that
Legit.
experience, let's without maybe going into like all the detail in terms of like that path, but like through that experience of Big Brother, what was that hardest part for you in terms of just the big scope of things of life?
It was a really big catalyst for me, and something that I'm still doing every day and will do for the rest of my life is like coming to know myself. Because the first 25 years of my life, I just ran for myself. I had no idea who I was. I was a different person depending on who I was talking to, just to please them. And I was just a people pleaser. I wanted to be accepted, you know. And so for me, even the first, like, because when I got out of the house, I didn't actually like take a step back, pause, let me look at myself here. Where do I need to grow?
Just got some bread.
I just got, yeah, dude. I just
Money
got
came in.
my checking account is full. I'm free. Like the first thing we did was go to Vegas, bro. And like I just continued to numb myself and run for myself. And then it wasn't until like I actually moved to Vegas in June of 2020, and then moving out of Vegas in October of 2020 that I realized like if I didn't really change my ways, I was gonna burn eternally, like legit. And all that being said, what I'm even still going with, even just like last night, coming to know more about myself and the areas that I really need to grow and like need to mature and need to change and need to be honest with myself on. And that honesty requires humility. And sometimes it's hard to have, especially when we're talking about like character changes and like recognizing that that show took me places my character couldn't handle, you know, and I didn't, you know, 500 grand is not a ton of money in relation to people that have millions, but for a 23-year-old kid with a lot of problems and no financial literacy or financial guidance, you know, that's a big,
Yeah.
Yeah, write me that check now
it's a
and I'll
big
be okay.
rat trap, bro.
Anybody will take 500,000. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Can I ask you
Yeah.
quickly, what's the taxes off that?
Fat.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Fat.
Yeah. It's like, dang, dude, why you got? I thought I was gonna get 500, dude.
Fat.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's been so many things that I've had to learn the hard way, you know, not only financially and you know, because the rich stay rich by having their money make money for them, and the poor stay poor because we continue to spend what we make. So learning how to get our money to make money for us and being able to be a good steward of what the Lord gives me, because I wasn't then, right? And so like God kind of let me go up to this mountaintop only to then let myself get chucked down in the valley and like really smack the deck. And over the like 2019 to 2022, I hit what I thought was rock bottom, but every time it just kept getting lower because I was just so stubborn and hard-headed, and then I kind of needed to hit that, you know? And so the biggest takeaway from the show, I would just really say, is like coming to learn who I am, because that wasn't who I was on the show. That was just a shell of a guy who didn't actually have an identity, you know? And so coming to learn that and being around people that have helped me, you know, give feedback and this, that, and the other, but also just reading the Bible, you know, cover to cover, and really getting in the Word and coming to know Christ. Like that is where my identity's been found. And just taking a step back from social media, getting away from that. Because like 2020 hit and I had such a desire to just change my life and turn it around. I was like, I'm done living like this. And my intentions were right, but my execution was poor. And so I was just like, bro, I need to do less in public and say less in public and just like go into your cave. Just like go away, work on you, get off the grid for a bit.
I was gonna say on the show though, like you gotta give. I'm always like I'm a guy who looks for like these little small wins because I feel like me and you kind of have the same personality where I'm like, ah man, it's just not getting better, just trying to find a win. I would say though, you were like pretty strong-minded going into that show in the situation that you were in and winning the show.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Real talk, bro.
Like, what did you learn about yourself right there? Like, did you have little milestones in that 99 days? Be like, you know what? I'm going to just focus on the show here, but I also got like all this backdrop in my head. Yeah. Like, how does somebody do that?
Well, so like the distraction of the show is what helped me get cut off from the different drugs I was hooked on, because there's so much taking your attention and there's so many stressors, right? But like the wild part was, you know, I'm on my season, you know, we're talking, the castmates are talking, they're stressing out, they're not eating, they're this, that, and the other, they can't sleep, blah, 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 because of all the stress. Yo, the stress of that house was so much better than what I was going through in real life. Legit, it was like a vacation. It was like it was like, let me get away from the real problems I have. And so like what I was going through up into that, like even just the last month, I had the blood clot. 3 days later, the CEO of a music label hit me in his $140,000 Porsche, totaled my car, then suing me for over $250,000. 3 weeks
remember that
later,
one.
3 weeks later, I'm back home in Nashville filming my intro. I hit a Mercedes van, matte black wrapped, all these different things, personal stuff going on. And then I'm just in the show, disconnected, off the grid. So I was like, oh, this is great. I was like, I don't actually ever want to leave this house because then I actually have to go face these problems. So it was kind of like a fun little getaway. And it's really what helped me like work through it, was because it wasn't anything in relation to kind of what I was dealing with in real life and the mess that I had kind of put myself in, you know? So being very competitive and just wanting to win,
Yeah.
that was where I was like, all right, I'm just taking it 1 week at a time. I just got to secure safety. I just got to get through this week. I just got to get through this week. Just kind of one thing at a time, which like, you know, in meetings, they tell you like, you know, 1 day at a time, just 1 day at a time. So it was like 1 week, let's just get through this week. Let's get through this week. Let's get through this week. And then before you know it, there's 3 of us left in the house. I'm like, yo, this might actually happen.
Yeah.
And then it did.
What would you say your hardest week gameplay wise would be in Big Brother? And like maybe like at the last 3, because you did have an alliance. I'm just curious. Also, it's a television show that's filmed 24/7 too, so it's got to add more pressure. But like, what was the hardest week for you there?
Yo, that the final 5, bro.
Final 5.
Because like
You weren't gonna. I didn't think you were gonna win that challenge. You know which one I'm talking about, where you were like throwing, I guess, the ball.
dodgeballs, it was like the slingshot thing.
Yeah.
That one, and also the fact that like Tommy and Holly were up on the block, and like I was sitting there, I was like, I'm gonna go into Final 4, 3 versus 1. I was like, I don't know what is gonna happen, and that was when I then heard Tommy through the door, and that whole mess.
That was so good, bro.
That was definitely like, that was when I was really like, this
Do or
is
die.
it's just like that cusp of, it's either I could win the show or I'm going home next week. Because like I just had HOH. No, I can't remember.
I think it was the week before all
There
that.
was 5 up there. I think I just won veto or something. I can't remember. But nonetheless, I was like, I'm about to be in this house by myself. You know, and I was like, this is wild. And then they ended up, you know, sending home Tommy, which still will never understand.
That
one.
was a wild move, bro.
From your perspective, in terms of like, I'm kind of like trying to focus on more of like a bigger picture of like life. In that situation, when you're down, let's say to the final 5 or the final 3, are you thinking to yourself at that time in your like headspace, like this is kind of like a new beginning, or like this could be a new path for me in terms of like, I'm, you know, you say all this stuff that happened to you, like this or that or whatever. Are you in that mindset that you are in, like in the house? Are you thinking like, dang, I could be, you know, a reality TV star? Or is it just more of like a, I don't know, at the time of like just being who I am, and let me just, once I get done, I'll deal with who I am afterwards?
So interesting you bring that up. I was kind of keeping my composure in the house. The producers for CBS, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but they would call me after like 6, 7 weeks in, started calling me to the upstairs diary room. And they had a psychiatrist in there. And she started asking questions. And like, what seemed to me, can't confirm, what seemed to me was like planting seeds and intrusive thoughts. And was at one point, it was like, so, you know, I just want to ask, what city are you going to be living in when you get out of here? Nashville, LA, your family's from Mississippi. Like, where are you going to go? And I was like, I don't really know. Wherever. And they were like, well, okay, we just want to make sure that we can get you a good therapist for when you get out of here, get you set up with somebody. So, you know, we've had some people in the past, when they come out of the house, they can't really handle what's being said about them in a healthy way. We just want to make sure that you're okay. Do we have your permission to kind of set you up with that? And immediately my mind's like, what's going on? Who's saying what? Why do I need a therapist out there? Why are you saying it like that? Are you saying this to the other house guests? Yeah. Is it just me? And I leave there and I'm like, you know, and I go to ask another house guest, you cannot talk about your diary room sessions with other house guests. And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude. I was like,
Over the
and then,
intercom.
but it's like the spirals, you know what I'm saying? And they said those things, and did those things because at no point, especially with stuff that got brought up on finale night, did I ever know. I had no idea. Never crossed my mind. I never got like filled in on that. Like, hey, yo, just letting you know, Twitter's saying this, you know, whatever that. Like, I was completely blindsided. Even on finale night, right before the commercial break ended, before Julie asked me some questions. They were like, came over the intercom. Hey, congratulations, you two. Amazing job this season. You're gonna get some tough questions coming up. Just answer them to the best of your ability. We're so proud of y'all. You know, all right, we're going live at 5, 4, and I was like, all right, where? Yeah, tough questions. And then Julie hits me, and I'm like, yo,
Holy
what?
Yeah.
I had no idea. And so, yeah, that's right. I'm so thankful that, granted, there are a lot of folks that love me, that support me, that, you know, see the truth and see where I was flawed and also see where I wasn't. You know, because there's a lot of places that I was really wrong. I was very intense. I was rude. I was disrespectful at times. I was inconsiderate. There's also a lot of things that I wasn't.
Shotgun to beer in less than 2 seconds.
I forgot about that. I did do that.
impressive.
That's
I'll
very
say it's impressive.
But like, you know, there was definitely some red flags. But there were some things I also got accused of that just wasn't true. Nonetheless, I couldn't have walked out of that house and had the entire country love me and been a reality star and sitting in this couch right here. Legit.
Right.
I wouldn't have made it pay maybe another year.
Yeah.
And so I'm super thankful for it because there was, yes, a lot of folks that loved me and supported me, but there's also like a big kick in the teeth. Was it all valid? No. But I needed it, you know, nonetheless. And so in the house, I had no idea that was coming. In the house, I was just focused on like, dang, dude, I could actually like, I could get some coin.
Yeah.
Like, this is we could actually do some stuff with this. And then it just kind of went from there.